Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Fugit's Blitz. Hi, I'm Fugit. Hello. So, round 2 of the auction has now started, and that's what we're going to look at today. And we kick off with the T26E3 Eagle 7, currently going for 4,000 gold. Now, don't forget, I mean, this is just the first week, so there's plenty of time for these prices to drop. So, the prices are pretty high at the moment. What about the Eagle? Well, it's an average tank. It's not the best, it's not the worst. And it's a little bit pricey at the moment. And, you can see there's still quite a lot of them out there. So my advice would be it's an okay tank. It's not brilliant. It's not going to set the world on fire. Wait a little bit if you want to get that one into your garage. Because it's really not worth the money that it's going for right now. It needs quite a few price drops to make it worth your while. Next up, we have the 047. This is a tank I particularly like. I mean, it's a fantastic little tank. Used to be quite a rare tank, but it is a beautiful tank. It's 6,000 gold. It's still a little bit pricey, but it's not always easy to get your paws on this tank. So again, there's still 4,500. It's still only in the opening rounds of this auction. Give it a bit of time. Once it starts hitting that 4,000 mark, you should be looking at trying to snap it up because it's a fantastic tank. Really, really good. Next, we have the T55A, the Tier 9 medium tank. I like this tank. It's a funky little tank. At the moment, 9,000. A little bit pricey, but it is a Tier 9, to be fair. And there aren't many premium tanks at Tier 9. This is a beautiful little tank. It's sort of a mix between the T54 and the T62A. If you like your mediums, then wait a couple of days. That'll come down to a more reasonable price, like the 8,000. When it gets to 7,500, you really should be biting Wargaming's hand off, to be fair, because it really is a great tank. It's really, really good for what it is. It's a beautiful little Tier 9 if you know how to play it. This now brings us to the next tank, the T2020. Now, when this first came out, it was a bit meh, and I'm still not a big fan of this tank. However, it has had a buff, and since that buff, its playability is a lot better. It's still a bit weird, and I'm still not a big fan of it. And at the moment, for 6,500, it's a little bit pricey, in my opinion. Again, there's still 4,397 of these things out there, so bide your time. Wait for it to come down. As soon as it starts hitting that four and a half, between 5,000 to 4.5, it then starts to look like it's a worthy deal. Until then, you're just throwing gold away because there are better tanks in the tier. Believe me. Following on from the T2020, we have the Predator Ultramarines. Well, this is a tank that's been doing the rounds for quite a long time. Pretty difficult to get your paws on, to be fair. Wargaming very rarely release it. At the moment, it's going for 5,000. It's a little bit pricey. It's a nice tank. Not the best, not the worst. But again, I would advise just holding out. Wait till it gets to that 3,000 mark and it starts to become an attractive little purchase. Before that, I would say the chances are you're not going to play it that often because, well, you're just not. It's a nice little tank, it earns some decent credits, and it can be fun to roll out in, but choice is yours, my friends. This now brings us on to the IS-3 Defender, the first Defender series tank that came out. Now, when it first came out, it was a formidable tank. Since then, it's been power crept a little bit, what with that long load time, but it is still a fun tank to play. At 7,000 gold, it's a little bit pricey for a tier 8 at the moment, but it is going to drop down to 6,500 shortly. Once it gets to 6,000 and possibly 5,500, it then becomes a shoo-in. This is then a tank that you should be looking at getting. Anything below the 6,500 is not a bad deal, to be fair. It's still a decent tank in the right hands, but choice is yours again. Next, we have the Centurion Mark 5-1, the Dingo. Now, this to me is one of the must-have tanks. It is a fantastic tank. It really, really is. At the moment, it's going for 8,000 gold, which is a little bit pricey for what it is. Wait till it gets down to around 6,000, although it may not last that long. There's only 3,482 of them left, but once it gets around to that 6,000 mark, anything below 7,000, really you should be biting their hands off. It is a beautifully brilliant tank. And if you like your Cromwells and those type of tanks, this really is a great one. Pretty much plays like the Defender Mark 1, but this one, I really like this tank, and I really think once it gets to that 6,500 mark, you should be looking at getting this one into your garage. Next is the AMX Defender. Now, this is a tank I myself don't have, so I'm keeping my eye on this one. At the moment, it's at 8,000 gold. Again, a little bit pricey, I think. Once it gets down to the 6,000 again mark, dropping below 7,000, it's going to spur my interest, and I'm going to be looking to try and get this one into my garage. It's the only Defender that I don't have, and I'm interested in this one, but as I said, not at any price. I'm going to wait for it to get below the 7,000, which will take 2 days. May not be many left by then, but I'm prepared to wait my turn. And then I'll try and snap this one up. Pretty much like I snapped up the TS5. Next we have one of the stars of the list, the Rhm Scorpion G, a fantastic tank. However, at 10,000 gold, this one is incredibly pricey at the moment. Next price drop, it will be at 9,000. My advice would be wait till this one gets below 8,000. It may not get below 8,000. Once it hits 8,000, you may be looking at trying to snap this one up. Still a bit pricey, but it is a tier 8, and it is a particularly good tier 8. Once it gets to 7,000 though, then it starts to become a viable option, because when you consider that most tier 8s are going for 7,500 near as damn it, and you're getting a fantastic tank at the same time, a really good tank, then it starts to be looking like you should be getting your paws on it. Next we have the Vindicator Ultramarines, a tank I truly hate. It's a meme tank, everybody knows it's a meme tank, it's got absolutely no gun depression, but it's got a fun gun, and it's got some fun armour. At 5,500 it is way overpriced. You may want to wait quite a while for this one to drop down. Once it gets to 3,000, then possibly you should be looking at getting it into your garage if you like meme tanks. Me, I'm not a big fan of this tank, never have been, never will be, but, well, each to their own. Finally, we have the FE217 Badger, a tank I do actually like. I think this tank is a fantastic TD. In fact, I did a video on it recently, why I love the Badger. I'm a big fan of the Badger because I think this should have been the Tech Tree version rather than the Death Star. But hey, each to their own, as I said. At the moment, it's going for 14,000, which for a tier 10 is actually quite a nice price. Next price drop, it will be down to 13,000, which again, for a tier 10, is a good price. Remember, guys, when tier 10s normally go on sale, they're going on sale for 20,000. So you are making a saving at the moment of 6,000 gold. I wouldn't wait too long on this one. I mean, it's already down to 3,255. This is going rapidly. Once it gets down to around the 12,000 mark, then you really should be looking at getting it into your garage. I mean, it's a fantastic tier 10 if you know how to play it. It's got great armor. It's got an interesting gun, not going to lie, but my recent video I showed you, it's quite nice. I like it. Anyway, well, that has been my take on week 2 of the auction. There are some interesting tanks out there. There are some bargains to be had, but not right now. Hold your horses, and you will get some good bargains and some interesting tanks into your garage. Until the next time, guys, I'd like to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Remember, stay safe out there. Have fun on the battlefield, and happy tanking. Because that is what it's all about at the end of the day, having fun and being happy.